Have you ever felt, deep in your chest, an invisible anguish that seems to whisper, "There is something more, but I don't know how to reach it"? It is this silent yearning, this nocturnal restlessness that pushes us against the shackles of our mental routines, desiring something greater, something that tears the veil of the mind and brings us face to face with our own truth. Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." And it is this internal awakening, both intense and delicate, that we will explore now. Not as one who points a finger, but as one who extends a hand, understanding every sigh of frustration your heart carries. You may not realize it, but your third eye, before it illuminates, already reflects the hidden mirror of your shadow. It is there, in that unsettling reflection, that your unclaimed potential resides, the part of you that was silenced to fit in with the world. Every time the mind sinks into repetitive worries, every time cortisol rises and the heart rate quickens at the end of the day, the small globe of inner light retracts, like a fearful shell before a storm. This energetic tension, the rush brought by the lights of screens, the constant hum of notifications, muffles the pineal resonance, leaving it inert, dormant, forgotten. Imagine then an ancestral night. Thoth, the divine scribe, watches over souls as they traverse the mysteries of sleep. Under the moon, he noted every breath, every fleeting vision that escaped from the dreams of the ancients. It is this legendary tradition that we will recover today, aligning science and mythology, body and spirit, emotion and thought. Feel the gentle air enveloping your face. Notice the calm rhythm of your breath, and allow yourself to dive into the current that connects the visible to the invisible. Tonight, you will discover the hidden mechanics of your third eye, unravel how it works while your body rests, and reconfigure its interface between dream and thought. You will learn to silence the external noise, to carve the internal prism, and to allow the refracted light to penetrate every corner of your consciousness. I assure you, at the end of this journey, that invisible anguish will have transformed into a clear call, an internal melody that resonates with purpose and harmony. Take a deep breath, feel the ground beneath your feet, and know this: I see you, I understand your pain, and together we will open the hidden fissure of longing, calling the seeker that exists within you to emerge, illuminated in the serene vastness of the night. Let's start in a place that may be very familiar to you. The end of the day arrives, the sun sets, and along with the night, a thin layer of anxiety descends. It's not a panic, it's something more subtle. A hum of restlessness, a feeling that you should be doing something important, but you don't know what it is. You might call it accumulated stress or fatigue from your routine. But what if this agitation has a much deeper origin? What if this hidden pain that tightens your chest at dusk is a spiritual symptom? The sign that your antenna to the divine, your pineal gland, is being forced to shut down. It's your body's reaction to a sacred portal closing. The melancholy of a soul that knows night should be a time of connection, but senses it will be, once again, a time of silence and forgetting. In this space of yearning, many of us cling to a distorted idea that has become popular in modern spirituality. The myth of divine nightly downloads. The belief that you just have to lay your head on the pillow, ask the universe for a message, and wait for wisdom to arrive in vivid dreams. This creates immense frustration because on most nights, what we find is silence or confusing dreams that fade by morning. What this idea doesn't tell us is that there's no point in trying to listen to a divine radio if the receiver is turned off or full of static. Before receiving any transmission, we must first deal with the neural inhibition, with the noise that prevents our antenna from working. The truth, spoken with compassion, is that connection is not a passive act of receiving, but an active act of attuning. And here we arrive at a revelation that can change how you see your nights. We have all heard that the blue light from cell phone and computer screens at night harms the production of melatonin, the sleep hormone. But this is only the most superficial layer of the truth. The impact is much deeper and more vibrational. Inside your pineal gland, there are minuscule calcite microcrystals, structures that function as true biological antennas, capable of capturing and transducing the subtlest frequencies of the universe. The low-frequency blue light emitted by these devices doesn't just confuse your brain about the day-night cycle. It acts as a vibrational dampener. It literally silences these crystals. It prevents them from vibrating, from resonating, from fulfilling their sacred function of connecting you to the field of information that surrounds you. This is why the most honest metaphor for your third eye is that of a pure crystal prism that has been buried in concrete. The concrete is the noise of the day, the hurry, the worry, and above all, the dampening frequency of artificial light. Before you can see the rainbow of possibilities that this prism can reveal, you need, with love and patience, to begin carving away that concrete. And this removal can begin with a sacred transition, a small ritual you offer yourself at the end of each day. Imagine first the act of disconnecting from screens, an act of reverence for your inner temple. Next, the act of attuning, perhaps with silence or a soft sound that makes your inner crystals vibrate again, like singing to a plant to invite it to awaken. And finally, the act of opening, remaining for a few moments in receptive stillness, seeking nothing, just creating a sacred vacuum so that wisdom can finally find a place to land. Now that we have begun to carve away the concrete, we can go deeper to the emotional fissure that lives inside you. It's the unique frustration of waking up with the ghost of a dream. You open your eyes, and for a second, you are absolutely certain that a great truth has been revealed to you. An answer, a key to that pattern that repeats in your life, to that relationship you can't understand. But the moment you try to grasp the memory, it dissolves like smoke through your fingers. What remains is a silent pain, a feeling of loss. This frustration is not a memory failure. It is the pain of a soul that has traveled home, that has touched its own sacred library, but was abruptly pulled back, without time to bring the book with it. This library has a name that echoes through the most ancient esoteric traditions. It is called the Akashic Records. Think of them not as a physical place, but as a dimension of consciousness, a field of energy that holds the imprint of every thought, every action, and every emotion of all souls, in all their journeys. The best way to understand this is through a simple analogy. Imagine that the script of your soul is a song recorded on a vinyl record. Your pineal gland is the fine needle designed to play this music. However, if the record is covered in dust, the dust of anxiety, of doubt, of incessant thoughts, the needle cannot read the grooves. What you hear is just noise, static, incomprehensible fragments of the song. Access to this clear music happens in a very specific brain state, a magical and fleeting portal between waking and sleeping, known as theta-gamma coherence. It is in this bridge state that the logical mind calms down and consciousness becomes fluid enough to perceive other realities. And it is here that the great revelation happens. In this state, your pineal gland transcends its biological function of regulating sleep and becomes the true reader. It becomes the sensitive needle capable of touching the grooves of the Akasha, deciphering the subtle impressions of your soul's script. Our job is not to compose the song, for it already exists. Our job is, with intention, to clean the record. Breathing is the most direct tool for this cleansing. It is a dance in 4 beats that invites you to cross this threshold smoothly. The first phase is the anchor. Lying down and ready to sleep, take a few deep breaths, feeling with each exhalation the weight of your body surrendering to the surface below you, releasing the tension of the day. The second phase is the pulse. Begin to breathe in a slow, steady rhythm, perhaps inhaling for 4 seconds and exhaling for 6. Feel this rhythm like a gentle wave washing over your nervous system, calming the inner waters. After a few minutes in this rhythm, you enter the third phase, the void. At the end of an exhalation, simply pause. Rest in the silence for a moment, without tension. It is in this vacuum that the portal opens. Finally, the fourth phase, permission. As you continue to breathe softly, whisper in your heart, I am ready to receive whatever is for my highest good. And then, most importantly, let go. Let go of control and expectation. Trust that your soul knows exactly which music you need to hear. To understand our sacred chemistry, we need a new metaphor. Your pineal gland is a lamp, not a fire hose. True illumination, the kind that can be integrated and used to navigate life, is not a flood that erases your identity. It is a soft, constant light that allows you to see the path more clearly. The search for overwhelming external experiences often stems from a pure desire for connection, but it masks an inner truth, that our own lamp is dim. We believe we need an explosion of light because we have forgotten how to ignite our own glow. This desire for a breakthrough, for thunder to come from outside, is understandable. It is born from the soul's thirst to connect with something greater. But with compassion, we can reframe this desire. It is a symptom of pineal lethargy, of an inner silence so profound that we come to believe music can only come from an external orchestra. The truth is that your body is an alchemical laboratory capable of producing its own spirit molecule. But the function of this production is not that of the fire hose. It is micro-explosions, drops of light, chemical whispers released at key moments to calibrate your perception, to open new synapses, to give you a glimpse of a broader reality that you can integrate. And this leads us to a surprising fact, a truth that needs to be told gently. The dependence on external sources, on the fire hose, can paradoxically suppress the natural production of your pineal gland even more. By flooding the system with an overwhelming force, you teach your delicate internal pharmacy to become lazy. Over time, your ability to perceive the subtlest notes of your own consciousness atrophies. The goal is not to be deafened by an external sound, but to develop the hearing for your own silent inner melody. We can invite this lamp to light up through rituals that use the purest elements, your breath and water. Imagine a brief moment in the morning, a 5-minute ritual to greet the day and your own light. Start with a more intense and rhythmic breath, oxygenating your system as if you were blowing on dormant embers within you so they can regain a soft glow. After a few minutes, inhale deeply, holding this cultivated energy for a moment, feeling it vibrate. And then the catalyst, a little cold water on your face, especially on your forehead. This small shock of temperature, combined with the energy of the breath, is an invitation, a gentle call for your body to awaken its own sacred chemistry, for it to release a small, precious drop of light. Not to force an experience, but to remember your own forgotten ability to generate clarity, lighting your own filament to illuminate the path ahead. Now that we understand the importance of clearing the noise and lighting our inner light, we need to take a step further and talk about the frequency we choose to maintain. Think of your pineal gland, your third eye, as an incredibly sophisticated radio. A radio designed to pick up the subtlest and wisest transmissions from the universe. The cosmos is constantly broadcasting on all frequencies, offering music, wisdom, peace. But your personal radio has a tuner, and that tuner is your own vibration. And here we find the root of many of our difficulties, a profound vibrational discord. Every day, without realizing it, we tune our radio to low-frequency stations. Our daily habits, from the news we consume, full of fear and conflict, to conversations focused on complaining and judgment, to the processed foods that drain our vitality. Every thought of self-criticism, every moment of anger, every worry about the future, all of this functions as static. This is not a moral judgment of being good or bad. It is pure vibrational physics. These habits detune the resonance of your pineal gland. They tune it to the frequency of noise, making it physically impossible for it to pick up the clear and elevated transmissions that are also available in the air. You cannot hear a Mozart symphony if your radio is tuned to a station of pure static. It is here that the ancient wisdom of the Kybalion offers us immense clarity. One of its fundamental hermetic principles says, "Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates." And this principle is directly linked to another. Like attracts like. This means that the universe does not give you what you want. It gives you what you are. It responds to your frequency. If your personal daily vibration is one of chaos, fear, and lack, you will naturally attract and perceive more chaos, fear, and lack. Your intuition, which should be a clear channel of guidance, is sabotaged at its source. Not because the channel doesn't exist, but because you are tuned to the wrong frequency to receive it. The reversal of this process, the great turning point, is in taking on the role of the conscious tuner of your own radio. It is in understanding that raising your frequency, especially in the moments before sleep, is not a luxury, but a necessity for those seeking clarity. It is the act of deliberately turning the dial, passing through the noisy stations, until you find a clear, resonant frequency. When you do this, you amplify the quality of everything that follows. Your nightly downloads cease to be random fragments and become direct, coherent responses to the frequency you chose to embody. You prepare the field for magic to happen. So how can we do this fine-tuning in a practical and profound way? One of the oldest and most powerful tools for this is sound, specifically the sound of your own voice. Consider the possibility of a sonic bath, a moment to align your Ajna chakra, the energy center of your third eye, using the technology of overtone chanting. And you don't need to be a singer for this. It's about feeling the vibration. Imagine yourself sitting in silence for a few minutes. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, emit a long, sustained vowel sound like ah or oom. The important thing is to feel this sound vibrating in your chest, in your throat. Now, with this bass note sounding, begin to subtly play with the shape of your mouth, your tongue. And suddenly you will notice that a second, higher, more ethereal tone, a kind of crystal whistle, emerges over your voice. This is an overtone. It is the secret music within your sound. As you find these overtones, direct your attention to feeling the vibration, concentrating right in the center of your forehead. Feel your skull transforming into a resonance chamber. You are literally using your own voice to tune your instrument, to clear the static. And by making these fine adjustments with intention and presence, you leave your radio perfectly tuned, ready to receive the cosmic transmissions with a clarity you may have never experienced before. There is a reason why so many seekers feel adrift in the modern world, as if they were navigating without a map and without stars. This feeling is not your personal failure. It is a collective wound. It is the phantom memory of an era when humanity was not lost, an era when the connection with the cosmos was the center of life. We carry in our DNA the loss of the primordial pineal rites, the ceremonies and practices that attuned us to the cycles of the earth and the sky. This loss has left us with a deep yearning for something we know existed, a nostalgia for a wisdom that was taken from us, but not completely forgotten. To glimpse this wisdom, we can turn to the visions of the mystic Edgar Cayce. In his trances, he did not see Atlantis as a myth, but as a real and highly advanced civilization whose power came from a deep understanding of subtle energies. He described healing temples made of large crystals that pulsed with light, magnificent structures that were not only aligned with the sunrise and sunset, but with distant and complex planetary cycles. The purpose of these temples was one: to amplify and calibrate the power of the human pineal gland, transforming it into a direct channel to the universal mind. They didn't need external technology because they had mastered the inner technology, and herein lies the great surprise for our logical and skeptical minds. These Atlantean rituals were not mystical daydreams or superstitious ceremonies. They were a precise and sophisticated science. The priests and priestesses of that era were masters of vibrational physics. They understood that the pineal gland is immensely sensitive to light, and that sunlight, and especially reflected moonlight, had distinct energetic qualities that could be used to activate different aspects of consciousness. Their rituals used an exact lunar-solar calibration to open portals of perception, to heal the body, and to communicate across time and space. It was a science of the soul, a technology of the spirit, whose manual was buried by time. But a blueprint, an echo of this manual, can still be perceived. We can reconstruct, as a sacred story, what one of these invocations might have been like: a 4-phase ritual perfectly timed with the cycle of the moon to awaken the dormant power of the pineal gland. The journey began on the new moon in complete darkness. This was a time of deep purification, of silence and fasting, where the initiate cleansed their body and mind of all noise, creating a sacred vacuum, an immaculate inner space. Then, with the arrival of the waxing moon, as the first slice of light appeared in the sky, the phase of intention began. The seeker did not ask for things, but planted a sacred question in the fertile soil of their mind. A symbol, a question about their purpose, a search for clarity. This intention was nurtured every day in meditation, growing in power, along with the light of the moon. The climax of the ritual took place on the full moon. Under the potent, silvery light, the initiate would open completely, perhaps lying on the earth or with a moon-activated crystal on their forehead. This was not a moment of doing, but of being. A moment of total surrender to receive the vision, the healing, or the message the universe had to deliver. Finally, during the waning moon, the focus turned inward. This was the time of integration, of recording dreams and symbols in a journal, of meditating on the wisdom received and weaving it, thread by thread, into the tapestry of waking life. To seal this memory, allow yourself to hear an archetypal tale. The story of the last priestess of Atlantis, who, as her land was swallowed by the waters, understood that her mission was not to save the stone temples, but the living ritual. She did not try to carry the crystals, but became the crystal itself. In her body, in her DNA, in her consciousness, she encoded the entire sacred blueprint. She became a living channel between worlds, a walking library, promising that this wisdom would not be lost, but only fall asleep, waiting in the genes and souls of her descendants. Waiting for a time when her sons and daughters, the modern seekers, would be ready to stop, to feel the collective wound, and to finally begin the sacred work of remembering. We must now turn our gaze to the most intimate and often most treacherous terrain, the field of our own emotions. Your pineal gland is your telescope, an instrument of incredible power and precision, capable of seeing the most distant galaxies. But what good is the best telescope if its lens is covered by what we can call emotional acid, the dust of daily stress and the greasy marks of instant gratification? The clarity of your nocturnal vision depends directly on the purity of your emotional lens. On one hand, we have the inner conflict generated by the addictive cycle of dopamine. In a world that teaches us to seek happiness in peaks of stimulation, the next notification, the next like, the next episode, we train our brains to live in a state of constant seeking. And each small peak of pleasure is followed by a valley, a slightly deeper void that drives us to seek the next peak. This cycle, seemingly harmless, impoverishes our pineal clarity. It's like trying to see the stars in a city full of flashing lights. The constant artificial glare prevents us from seeing the calm, eternal light beyond. On the other side of this conflict is cortisol, the chemistry of survival. Neuroscience shows us that there is a clear and direct opposition between the chemistry of stress and the chemistry of the pineal gland. Cortisol prepares your body to fight or flee. It tenses your muscles, sharpens your attention to danger, and keeps your system on high alert. And when your body is in survival mode, it cannot be in receiving mode. The problem is that, in our world, the tiger chasing us often lives inside our own minds. And so we go to bed, our nocturnal sanctuary, still in fight or flight mode. Your night, which should be a time of healing, becomes just another shift on high alert. The insight that frees us from this cycle is the concept of emotional fasting. Just as physical fasting gives the digestive system a rest so it can cleanse itself, emotional fasting applies the same principle to our soul. It is about consciously stepping away for a period from the constant flow of stimuli. Not as a punishment, but as an act of deep love and respect for your own sensitivity. By giving your emotional palate a rest, you greatly expand the receptivity of your pineal gland. You create an inner silence that finally allows the subtlest whispers of your intuition to be heard. To experience this, we can draw inspiration from a ritualistic practice, an internal detoxification. Imagine choosing a day or even an afternoon to combine a gentle, intermittent fast with a silent vigil at sunset. During this period, the invitation is to abstain from all unnecessary stimuli. No screens, no agitated music, no superficial conversations. And then, at the end of the day, to find a place where you can simply sit and watch the sun go down. Feel the change in temperature on your skin. See the colors of the sky transform. Without the need to photograph, to post, to tell anyone. Just you and the universe in a silent conversation. This simple act of presence is the ritual. It is the act of polishing the lens of your telescope, so that when night comes and you point it to the sky, the distant stars are no longer blurs, but bright, clear points of light full of guidance. Our journey now takes us to the darkest and perhaps most misunderstood territory of our nocturnal experience, the realm of nightmares. Our psyche is like a vast labyrinth, full of forgotten corridors and secret chambers. And recurring nightmares, those that visit us with frightening faithfulness, are not random monsters living in this labyrinth. They are signs. They are smoke signals sent from the deepest parts of our being, indicating that there is something that needs to be seen. This subconscious pain, this nocturnal terror, is often an acute symptom of pineal stress. It is your soul trying to send an urgent message through a channel so overloaded with fear and anxiety that the message arrives distorted, encoded as panic. To navigate this terrain, we need a new lens, the lens of alchemy. The ancient alchemists did not only seek to turn lead into gold in the outer world, they sought to do it in the inner world. They taught us that all great transformation begins with the nigredo, the darkness, the dark night of the soul. The nightmare is your nigredo. It is the raw, heavy, frightening lead. It is the confrontation with your shadow, with your fear in its purest form. The natural tendency is to flee from it, to wake up sweating and try to forget. But the alchemist does the opposite. He turns towards the lead, for he knows it is only the raw material. The goal is to transmute it into albedo, the whiteness, the purification, the moonlight that illuminates the darkness. The albedo is the message of rebirth, the clarity that was hidden within the fear all along. The decisive moment in this nocturnal alchemy is when you make the conscious decision to stop running from the monster in your dream and instead turn and ask its name. It is the shift from victim to alchemist. It is when you decide to activate the higher chemistry of your pineal gland, to transmute fear into clarity, instead of just projecting it onto the screen of your mind. This act of courage, this willingness to face the darkness with curiosity instead of panic, sends a wave of coherence through your system and completely changes the nature of the experience. You are no longer at the mercy of the dream. You become an active participant in your own healing. There is a method for this, a sacred dream incubation ritual that invites you to become this alchemist. Before you sleep, on a night when you feel safe and prepared, take a journal. In it, you will not analyze the nightmare. You will invite it. You will write a gentle question to the energy of the nightmare, something like, I see you. I honor your presence. What is the gift you are trying to give me? What is the message behind the fear? You are planting a seed of intention in the soil of your dream. And at dawn, the moment you wake up, before you even move, the first thing you do is grab the journal and write down any symbols, feelings, or images that came to you, no matter how strange. A key, a crow, the feeling of cold, the color blue. You are learning to read the symbolic language of your soul, which is much truer than the literal narrative your mind creates. By doing this, you are weaving your own symbolic map. Your psyche is still a labyrinth, but you are no longer lost in it. This process, this ritual of incubation and recording of symbols, becomes your Ariadne's golden thread. Your pineal gland, when activated by the intention to understand rather than to fear, offers you the thread to navigate your own labyrinth, find the treasure that the fear was guarding, and return whole and wiser. And so, our journey through the dark night of the soul brings us back to the starting point, but finds us transformed. We return to the great law of vibration of the Kybalion, the golden thread that sews together every insight we have shared, everything we have spoken of, from clearing the noise of the world, to accessing the records of your soul, to becoming the alchemist of your own dreams. It all comes down to this singular, powerful principle. The nightly activation of your pineal gland is a complete reconfiguration of your energy field and your neural network. By consciously aligning with the higher frequencies of being, you not only change the quality of your dreams, you change the chemistry of your body, the pathways of your brain, and the energetic signature you emit to the world. It is crucial that this be remembered. Living in vibrational coherence is not a matter of belief or positive thinking. It is the hermetic law in action, as real and inescapable as the law of gravity. The universe is not responding to your desires or your words, but to the frequency your being is emitting at this very moment. That is why the deepest work is not to ask, but to become the peace you seek, to become the clarity you yearn for, to become the love you wish to receive. Think of your life as a sacred instrument, perhaps an ancient violin or a crystal flute. Your life is this instrument. The nocturnal ritual, with all its phases, is the sacred moment when you tune it. You clean its strings, adjust its pegs, and ensure it is in perfect harmony. But the tuning itself is not the goal. The goal is the music, and the music is played during the day. The invitation, therefore, is to integration. Bring the frequency of this ritual into your waking life. Make micro-attunements throughout your day. A conscious breath before a meeting. A moment of gratitude for the food on your plate. The deliberate choice of a thought of compassion instead of one of judgment. Each micro-attunement keeps your instrument tuned, allowing your life to become a beautiful melody. Firm, then, your nocturnal pact. A pact not with an external entity, but with the universal law of vibration and with the innate wisdom of your own soul. Commit to the sacred work of tuning your own being every night, and then observe. Observe with the curiosity of a child, with the reverence of a mystic. Observe how your outer reality, the people, the opportunities, the synchronicities, begin to dance in harmony with the new song you are emitting to the cosmos. If you have understood the purpose and power of this message, write in the comments, "I understand." Feel free to share an experience or a moment from your life. After all, your experience could be the turning point in someone else's awakening. To continue on this journey of remembrance and awakening, we invite you to subscribe to the channel and to like this video.